Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Hargrove Engineers and Constructors is proud to support LPB. Since 1995, Hargrove has been employee-owned and relationship-driven. With 2,700 teammates around the world, Hargrove works as one team to go beyond expectations.
You have what it takes to begin your journey: curiosity, ingenuity, intellect, determination. Through a vast portfolio of affordable and in-demand academic programs, hundreds of student-focused activities, and wraparound services, Southern University meets you where you are, giving you the tools and support that lead you to a successful career in the sciences or the arts. Begin with your goals anywhere. Finish stronger at Southern University at subr.edu.
The Rolf Pugh Agency is proud to support this program. Based in Louisiana, Rolf Pugh has provided marketing services nationwide since 1981, partnering with clients in healthcare, retail, automotive, and more. For more information, visit rpagency.com.
With additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Oh, and away we go, and it's great to have you with us here on a Saturday morning for Game Notes. Alongside my Super Bowl champ partner, Scott Shanley, I'm Victor Howell. As we roll into the middle of the month here in November, Scott, heading into today's action, we have two teams that with a win can officially become bowl eligible. We have one team still fighting for positioning in the conference championship to get into the title game. We have one team making that playoff push. We have a couple of teams that got fined with suspension. There's a little bit of everything going on here in the middle of the month.
Yeah, there is. And everybody talks about the playoff push, and rightfully so. That's the time of year where everybody's looking at those 1 through 12 teams. But I think you can't forget about the bowl games and how special those are to these teams trying to get into bowl eligibility. And for coaches, you get that much more practice, a lot longer to look at your roster. So a lot to play for right now in the season. And some of these teams facing adversity that they really weren't counting on at this point in the season. But we're going to talk about all of that here in the next 30 minutes. But let's start down in the Big Easy with the Wave from Tulane, where they've got 3 games left on the schedule for the Tulane Green Wave. It all starts this afternoon with a big homecoming matchup against Florida Atlantic out there at Yeoman Stadium. And with so much on the line for Tulane, of course, you want to dress in your Saturday best. And that's exactly what the Green Wave will be doing. Remember, we showed you this a couple of weeks ago. Oh, the City Edition threads making their debut on the Tulane campus today. We showed you these a couple of weeks ago, paying homage to the city that Tulane calls home. The wrought iron pattern on the jerseys and the powder blue, the helmets decorated with street tiles, Mardi Gras beads. I mean, if it's homecoming, you got to dress up, right? And well, then there's head coach John Summerall. He's been on an emotional high after last week's win over Memphis on the road, and this week at practice and at his press conference, sporting some new swag as well with the custom Tulane hoodie. But coach, RMFW, care to explain?
Mother flipping. Yeah, that's what I tell my mom at least. She's not pleased.
Hey, it's a family show, right? Having some fun with it with the new threads, selling like hotcakes at a store near you in New Orleans. But on the serious side for Tulane football, there's some questions about the offense and the consistency. Yes, there's 3 games to go, and Tulane's right in the hunt for the American. But we can take you back to the Memphis game and show you kind of the two sides of what they were looking at and what they need to focus on getting into this game against Florida Atlantic this afternoon. It was a bit of an up and down wave, if you will, out in Memphis. They came out of the gate strong against the Tigers. 35 points, 364 yards of offense, all in the first 2 quarters. Then they took the break at halftime. And when Tulane came out in the second half, we saw a different side of the offense. Just 3 points, 93 total yards in the final 2 quarters. And in the fourth quarter alone, just 22 yards and 1 first down. Quarterback Jake Retzlaff addressed the need for consistency for his offense in all 4 quarters.
We got to finish stronger in the fourth quarter. In the second half, just generally as an offense, we got to be better. I think we had 3 or 4 3-and-outs. Like, that's absurd. That's kind of unheard of for me. Like, that kind of offense is just not offense at all, right? I mean, so we got to be better at that. I got to be a lot better, you know. We just got to keep the attention to detail high even when we're up by a couple of scores. And we did that most of the game. Obviously, in the second half, we didn't do it well enough.
Well, this afternoon, Tulane is up against a team that has no issue slinging the ball all over the field. Quarterback Caden Feldkamp is 12th in the NCAA, not just the American, but in all of college football in passing yards. As a team, They're number 1 in the American for passing offense and have 24 touchdowns. John Summerall isn't surprised at the success with the way the American Conference is built top to bottom, and he knows don't pay attention to just the record of the team you're playing.
I'd say the parity in this league is real, you know. I think the separation from whether you look at the top of the standings to the bottom, I think everybody's kind of like more alike than different. I mean, I think this is a league where anybody can beat anybody any week. And if you're not prepared, you're going to get exposed. You're going to get humbled.
You got to be dialed in it. You can't take anybody for granted because, you know, any team is like, you know what, let's go win out. Like every team in the country is. If you're, you know, a team that hasn't had a great year, you're like, you know what, let's just have a great last 3-4 games and, you know, make something good out of it.
You know, when you're playing a team, like it's the opposite of, say, playing Army. You play Army and, you know, hey, they want there to be 6 possessions the entire game. So you may want to go a little faster offensively. These guys go so fast that we're not going to go as fast as them. Like, that's just not who we are. We'll still have some tempo things that we always do every week. Our character, our DNA, our demeanor, personality, if you will, is changing tempos. You know, go fast, go slow, go somewhere in the middle, and change it up. They're just like fast a lot.
We know this game is going to be on us. I mean, it's felt like it has to be on us for the past couple of weeks. But they'll try to take their shots and a lot of sideways football, try to make us tackle in space. So, I mean, it'll just be going back to what we've been doing for the past 4 or 5 weeks.
I use this adage a lot. Like, if we're all wrong, we're all right on defense. Like, if we have a bad call, but everybody's playing the bad call at the same time, it can be an okay call. If you're trying to get the perfect call, man, somebody may miss the check or something. It's like, that's a bad call then, you know. So there's some challenges they present, but how it affects our offense, you know, I think the biggest thing is they put a ton of points up, and so you've got to be prepared to like score. We can't settle for field goals.
All right, Scott, 2 things about this. Number 1, if you would have done this and not seen the FAU highlights, you would have thought they were talking about Ole Miss, who they played earlier this year. They constantly want to go and put up points. They did play Ole Miss. They lost on the road to Oxford, but they've seen this pace before. How much could that help Tulane going into this game this afternoon, being that they've already been there, done that this season?
Yeah, it's a tremendous advantage already having done it, because we talked about it the last time when they faced Ole Miss. As a scout team in practice, you can't simulate what you're going to go against on game day because you're running off cards, you're running offensive plays as a scout team guy that you're not familiar with. So it's just slower tempo. But I think the fact you've already seen it, and Coach is right, you simplify it defensively. You put in a handful of calls and you say, we don't care if they know what we're doing. As long as all 11 guys on the defense know what we're doing ourselves and we're play fast and we're flying around the football, good things can still happen. So simplify it defensively.
Okay, and the second question, again, sticking with the defense, we told you FAU has the best offense in the American. They've also thrown the most interceptions. 13 interceptions so far this season, the only team in double digits in the American Conference. So on the defensive side, how do you prepare for a team whose strength is slinging it all over the field, but maybe most vulnerable against a passing game that makes mistakes?
Yeah, I think you preach to your defense, and you worry about the yards in between the 20 and the goal line, because that's where the points come, whether it's field goals or touchdowns. And you say, this is an offense that is going to get some yards. We don't care about the box score. We don't care about fantasy points. We're trying to keep them from scoring points. And by the way, if you just keep playing, play after play, they're going to give you the ball. And when they put that ball up there and you have a chance to intercept it, you have to make them pay. So it's kind of feast or famine with those type of offenses where they're super aggressive. They're going to make big plays, but you got to keep playing defensively, play after play.
Down the stretch for Tulane, the schedule looks to be in Tulane's favor if you look at records. But remember, don't just look at the records, because these opponents can cause a problem, and Tulane can't afford to stub its toe this late in the season, making this big stretch. It's a 3 o'clock kick this afternoon for homecoming down there for the Green Wave and those sweet new Threads. Hope you enjoy the game. Get out there. It should be gorgeous weather for it. If you can't make it out there, don't worry. You can catch the game on ESPN+. Well, there is a lot on the line this afternoon at the FCS ranks for the Lions from Southeastern. They're back in the state of Texas. They're facing the team that won it all 1 year ago in UIW, who admittedly started the season slow, but still has been proving that they are the reigning champs because they have picked things up as of late. And for the Lions, they need to make sure that this week they bring all of their offense to Texas. That's one thing they didn't do 1 week ago against Lamar in the first of 2 back-to-back big showdowns for the Lions. This one being the second one straight, but against Lamar, the passing game hit a major speed bump, something we haven't seen basically all season for the Lions, except when they played LSU and Louisiana Tech to start the year. Just 56 yards total on the game through the air. That's something that is not Lion-like this season, especially against FCS opponents. The run game was solid. That needs to stay the same. But head coach Frank Selfo knows the aerial attack has to find its consistency once again.
I was surprised at how we didn't execute in the pass game. That's what I was surprised at. I thought the run game went like we wanted. We rushed for 236 yards, 6.6 yards a carry, had some explosive runs. Very happy with the run game. I thought our schematically, creativity, we were able to get some leverage in by formations and motions. Did a good job. Pass game, complete opposite. We were really ineffective and really detrimental to us offensively. Had to turn over on a screen that, you just got to make the play, and then we missed some reads in the pass game. We didn't do a good job of protection at times, gave up 2 sacks, and then we got to get open. Some of the receivers got to get open. So a lot goes into, the pass game. You got all of the elements that you actually need to take place, and, whether it's a receiver getting open or a quarterback making the right read or a receiver running the right route or protection up front with the O-line, tight ends, running backs, whatever it is. So there's a lot of things that go into that, and we didn't do a good job. That was poor execution in the pass game, especially.
Scott, the Lions have been sitting on the top of the Southland Conference, a tough loss last week. When you take a look at the matchup here, UIW's numbers on the left-hand side, they've struggled against the pass defensively, which has been a strength for the Lions, but they've got to bring it back this weekend.
Yeah, you look at these numbers, it's going to be a great matchup. I think these type of games come down when you have 2 heavyweight fighters in these games. It's about takeaways. Whatever defense plays better, takes the football away, gives our offense the advantage. You can't kick field goals, get down the red zone. So it comes down to takeaways and turnovers and red zone percentage.
The Lions have to be able to put last week's disappointment in the rearview mirror and be ready for UIW. And head coach Frank Selfo provided some personal perspective on just how to do that.
It was a bad locker room after the game. It was quiet. You could hear it. I mean, it was, the guys took it hard, which is good. But, like for me, my grandkids came running in there and, like, Coach, we almost won. It was close. And, it kind of broke the ice a little bit. So it was, I think when you look back and you just see it through those eyes and you realize, look, we played hard. Our guys played extremely hard. We didn't win the game. Move on. We got to get this next one. So let's start playing, get ready for the next one, and that's what we did.
And they definitely need to get this one as they make that push for the postseason and the playoffs on the FCS level. The Cardinals have won 2 straight and 6 of 7 in the series overall, currently tied for second in the Southland Conference for the Lions. It's an afternoon kick. You can enjoy the ball game on ESPN+.
Consistency has been the theme of the year, just piecing something together. And I really do believe, we've got 2 weeks left, but I do believe we'll find that game where we kind of put the whole thing together and play 60 minutes.
The culture, not having the greatest season, it's just how you respond each and other game. And I feel like as soon as the week starts, just like, let's go. It's great energy through practice. Everyone's still super positive, and it's just like, let's go out there and give it our best.
Just go out there and bust your butt. That's the only thing that you can really do, and just keep on grinding. And one of these days, it's gonna go ahead and change for this team, and I can't wait. I want to be a part of that success. I want to be a part of that, and I feel like it's gonna happen. It really is.
Well, it's a couple of big in-state matchups for the Nicholls Colonels on deck to close out the season before the annual grudge match with the Lions from Southeastern. They've got the 52nd NSU Challenge on deck this afternoon, hosting the Demons from Northwestern State. Overall, the Demons have the lead in the series. The Colonels have owned it as of late, though, winning 7 of the 8 last contests. Both teams coming off of a loss 1 week ago. To see how that matchup works out between these two, Colonels 7 of 8 in the series. They're going to try to keep it going here with that new quarterback in Ian Rodriguez. It's a 3 o'clock kick down in Thibodaux with the Demons and the Colonels. Again, should be great weather in South Louisiana, so go out and enjoy the ball game between these two. If you can't make it, you can catch out all the action on ESPN+. Well, the news out of Ruston was as bad as Bulldog fans feared. Quarterback Blake Baker done for the year with an ACL injury. Baker suffered the injury early in last week's game against the Blue Hens up in Delaware. Now, the Dogs will probably look to split time at quarterback, but at least it's with players who have seen significant playing time already this season. It's no doubt the loss of Baker will sting, especially for a team that once again enters a game knowing 4 quarters separate the Dogs from bowl eligibility and 6 wins on the year for the first time since 2019.
You're heartbroken for him individually in terms of the process and the progress that he's made as a player, the leadership that he's provided. I think that he has really emerged as a really one of the top quarterbacks in our league, and for him 2 years in a row to have a season-ending injury, I think it's a really tough pill to swallow. I can't speak for him, but it's a tough pill to swallow for us, just because you see someone who puts a lot into their craft, much like the guys earlier this year that have had injuries, and so that part of it, it stinks for him. It stinks for our football team, but as we've gone through this whole season with Evan and Trey, we feel good about them, and how do we maximize their abilities within this offense to give our team a chance to win a football game, because that's what they have to do.
Scott Baker had established himself as such a good quarterback, but at least the two quarterbacks playing do have experience. But let me ask you about being road weary. Last week you go from Ruston to Delaware. You're back home for 5 days. Now you're going to Washington State with a 9 o'clock Central Time kick. How much can that wear on a team?
It definitely can wear on a team. And we've looked at kind of the road was, well, Louisiana Tech has said before the season, we want to play well at home. We want to defend our home stadium. They've done that. They just have not played well on the road. Kennesaw State, I know Baker got injured in that game as well. Delaware lost that game. So they got to find a way to bring that same energy on the road that they play with at home.
Might want to take the under in this ball game. Two very good defenses going up against one another. Stay up late tonight. It's a 9 o'clock Central kick, and you can check out all the action on the CW Network.
Look, I just give our players credit. I mean, we continue. I think we've had our best practices here toward the end of the year and stuff and getting a lot done. I think the attitude of the team has been great, and it's been good all along. And I kept saying that when I'm coming in here. But I think, we guys have continued to work hard. The attitude's been really good, and I'm glad to see it's at least the last 2 weeks has paid off for them.
Jake Strong has been solid at quarterback for McNeese. It might have taken a little longer than he hoped, but Matt Viator finally seeing the team turn the corner and play its best football here in November. They'll have the chance to add to their season-long win streak tonight at home inside of Navarre Stadium, but the defense will be put to the test because here come the Vaqueros, the Southland's highest scoring team at almost 42 a game. Southeastern beat them by double digits in Hammond. Nicholls hung with them last week to the very end, so the Cowboys can get it done. But will it be a track meet, or can the defense stand tall? Kickoff is set for 6 o'clock tonight in Lake Charles. Should be a great night over there in Southwest Louisiana, but if you can't make it, check out all the action on ESPN+.
We know we've had a tough stretch right here. We're not concerned about what's behind us. And, as you sit back and you look at, really that 3 quarters of that season, and you go back and you look at it, and the thing that sticks out to me that I'm just proud of is just the effort and the fight and the attitude and the mentality. And look, we've also got to see this thing for what it is. And we're in year 2, we're in phase 2, and we make no excuses. And we don't want anybody to feel sorry for us. We understand that we're in tough times right now, and you got to embrace those tough times.
Brian Vincent has been consistent about being there in phase 2 of the rebuild up there in Monroe. This afternoon, they're at home against South Alabama. Major Applewhite's team has certainly not had the season they had hoped for. This could be a good opportunity for the Warhawks to take advantage of. Now, look, Kentrell Bullock of South Alabama, he's the conference's 4th best running back. But remember, Braylon McReynolds used to play for South Alabama. Now he suits up for the Warhawks. It's going to be a little special for him. The front line keeps getting it done for ULM. Kickoff this afternoon, 2:30 for some Sun Belt football action. Get out there and see it or check it out on ESPN+. Now to Baton Rouge and the worst type of game day for LSU Tigers. It's a kickoff before noon on a Saturday. They hate the morning game down there in Baton Rouge. The Tigers host Arkansas at 11:45 this morning. And for LSU, expect to see more of Michael Van Buren at quarterback. Interim head coach Frank Wilson said early in this week he planned to play both quarterbacks anyway. But then Thursday, Wilson said Garrett Nussmeier re-aggravated an injury. While not ruling Nuss out, he did call it concerning and something that needs to be monitored. But he also didn't commit to how much we'll actually see of him later on today. So stay tuned. We'll have an answer shortly. But the prep all week has been with the intent of seeing both QBs in action.
Garrett at times was spectacular. He started off red hot. He did some really good things for us. I felt at the back end we needed a spark and something to get us going and add another dimension to our game. I thought Michael stepped in and gave those things to us as a football team. As of now, nothing has drastically changed in how we have flowed. Outside of the fact, like last week, I'll say to you, we're going to use everything that we have, and both of those guys will play in this game.
Scott, remember 25 is the number, because that's the number that LSU has not passed on offense for points all season long. That's been their season high for an offense that expected a lot more. Now you throw in the twist of a Garrett Nussmeier with all the hype, and we know that everything has settled down and not been the year he wanted, has re-injured himself. How much do you push a Garrett Nussmeier to finish out this season, or do you say, you know what, we still don't have 6 wins. We've got a couple more opportunities to do it. Let's put the young kid in and see what he can do, because he might be our quarterback next year.
Yeah, I think you lean towards that, especially if you're looking at Nussmeier. He has a future in the NFL. I know you're not worried about where guys are drafted, but if he's injured, he's not going to do your team any favors. You have to know what he can bring to your offense. And by all accounts, between these two quarterbacks, he's probably the better drop-back passer, maybe on 3rd and long, 2nd and long, things like that. I like the situational awareness that they're going to bring these guys into this game. Last game, nobody really knew that dramatic change was going to take place. I like going into this game that the guys in that locker room understand both guys are going to play and we're going to utilize their strengths.
Because there's the other side of it with the red shirt that Michael Van Buren hasn't played enough where you can get him a full year. If you take it off and throw him in there, what are you playing for? 6 wins, maybe 7 wins, maybe a bowl game, but you can at least evaluate what you have, because remember, the quarterback of the future, quote unquote, who you were going for, is now being paid $2.5 million a year, and he's playing for the Michigan Wolverines. And it brings up a point I've been wanting to talk about a lot with you. With this new NIL era and the payments, how much extra pressure is there to play players who are reportedly making $2.5, $3 million a year, whether you're hurt or not, whether our team stinks or not? You're going in because you're making money.
There is pressure. It is a business. And, back when I played, it was political, where guys would play based on what school they went to, because coaches wanted pipelines to recruiting those high schools. So there's always been politics in college football. But now you enter the money, outside people giving millions of dollars to players. Of course they want to see them play. They don't want to see them stand on the sideline. So there's a lot on coaches. Who do I play? When do I play them, and who's going to keep me accountable to that? So just like you asked, do you play a guy and burn his red shirt? I think at this time, with the portal and all the availability of players, you have to know who's on your roster. You have to know how good they are, no matter how young they are, because when that portal opens, you have to know who you're going after.
And finally, on the defensive side, you're playing another quarterback who is mobile. He can throw the ball. I know Arkansas is not having a very good year, but he can put up some numbers. There's another guy who likes to sling it. We've seen LSU struggle with Texas A&M. We've seen LSU struggle with Ole Miss. Here comes another one of those quarterbacks. Arkansas as a team, as a whole, isn't doing very good. But once again, the defense is going to face a quarterback that can cause problems.
Yeah, and he started his career off in Boise, was there for a year, then went to Arkansas, and he'll make plays with his legs. He reminds me a lot of the Texas A&M quarterback. He's not on Reed's level like A&M, but he can throw the football, but he'll make you pay outside the pocket. So defensively, and for whatever reason, Coach Baker has had a really good defense, but when it comes to these scrambling quarterbacks, they've had a hard time containing them. You have to find a way to keep him in the pocket, because that's not where he wants to stay.
Well, we appreciate you watching us this morning, but as soon as we're done, head on out to the stadium, because it's an early kick, 11:45. Tailgate is starting a few hours ago for sure. Whit Weeks, questionable. He's been working his way back. Will we see him on the field? We'll find out shortly when they kick it off at Tiger Stadium. If you don't have tickets to today's game, you can check out all the action on the SEC Network. Well, if you have never seen a win result in a loss, then I invite you to look back at last week's game up in Grambling between the Tigers and Bethune-Cookman, because that's basically what happened to the Grambling Tigers after what happened last Saturday. On the field, the scoreboard clearly told you that the Grambling Tigers got the win. But what happened at halftime, and then the feelings of during the game and after the game, carried over to hit the Tigers facing a new challenge this week. Here's Grambling AD, Travian Scott.
We shouldn't tolerate disrespect, but I think it's a way to address it. And, obviously, and again, not speaking for the other team and program, that wasn't their first, second, or third time being involved in a situation like that. And so, while we were able to recover and eventually win the game, it's going to cost us moving forward because we reacted, to what they've become privy to now doing on a regular basis. And so, I think you overcome disrespect, by continuing to display the characteristics of a G-man, being high character and understanding what putting that helmet means every day and walking down that hill. But you also, have to understand these men and this legacy that this school has been built on. And so when certain things happen, disrespecting our logo, disrespecting our brand, it causes a reaction that, maybe we need to start having some conversations with our guys about, because it should never end in violence.
Clearly, the definition revolves on the word disrespect. Remember, we showed you some of this last Sunday on Postgame Notes if you joined us here on LPB. The incident happened at halftime, a brawl breaking out that took 20 minutes of real time to resolve, including looking at cell phones and looking at people's videos. Eventually, 8 players total were kicked out of the game prior to the start of the second half. Well, you knew the SWAC officers would get involved, and they would take a look at this. They dropped a hammer. 18 Tigers from Grambling have been suspended following that incident, 9 for Bethune-Cookman, and 3 unnamed players have been suspended for 2 games. In addition, both schools were fined. Bethune-Cookman hit with $25,000. Grambling, they got docked $40,000. Unfortunately, all of this is overshadowing what was a brilliant performance on the field by Tiger quarterback Hayden Benoit, named the SWAC Newcomer of the Week and no doubt was the player of this game. He has been QB4 for the Tigers this season, but now has stepped in as QB1, and he delivered in a big way. 280 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, a boatload of confidence, and a calm swagger that certainly got head coach Mickey Joseph's attention.
He reminds me a lot of Zay. You know, he spent a lot of time with Zay. So he reminds me a lot of Zay, that he's even killed. If you don't know him, you wouldn't know that he's in a room. You know, he still sits in, he's supposed to be sitting in the QB1 chair, but he don't sit in the QB1 chair. He still sits in the QB4 chair. You know, he sits and he said, well, this is my chair, you know. But he don't get too high, he don't get too low, but he's a competitor. You know, he likes to compete, and that's one reason I love Louisiana high school football, because they play against tough competition, but also they built a little different, you know. And we talked, you know, on the Tiger Walk, and I said, this is not too big for you. You understand that? He understood it, and he came out and he said, Coach, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play. I'm okay. I'm gonna play. So when he told me he was okay, I was okay.
So Scott, Grambling's going to be shorthanded 18 players when they go out to the reservation to try to keep this win streak alive against Alcorn State. But you love to see QB4, no issues, stepping up. Interesting to hear his comment about the high school players, too, that he realized he's ready for this.
Yeah, I think it's a cool thing, especially Mickey Joseph played quarterback in college. He understands that position, and no matter who's played quarterback, it seems like that position just has not fallen off this year for Grambling. And when you have stability at that position where you can plug and play almost anybody and the quality of offense stays the same, I think it's a testament to what they have going on there in Grambling.
Well, you're 18 players short, but you're on a win streak, but so is Alcorn. They've been playing very well. This game will be televised on SWAC TV if you're not making the trip, and it's a 2 o'clock kick. And it's the final home game of the season for the Southern Jaguars, hosting Texas Southern this afternoon out on the Bluff. A win would be number 2 on the season for the Jags and give them some much-needed momentum heading into the Bayou Classic in a couple of weeks. But there's a bigger goal as well, since a loss would make this team the first to go winless at home for Southern for an entire season. And you know that's on the minds of the seniors on the team and the underclassmen trying to get these seniors out in the right way. Is this the week they can finally put it together? Texas Southern and Southern kick off at 2 o'clock out on the Bluff, A.W. Mumford Stadium. If you're not headed out to the game, you can check out the action on SWAC TV. We told you there is a lot going on, a lot of things on the line, and it all kicks off with LSU starting first this morning at 11:45. So we're glad you started game day with us here. Enjoy all the games, and we'll wrap it all up for you tomorrow night for post-game notes. Until then, for Scott Shanley, I'm Victor Howell. Thanks for joining us for Game Notes here on LPB.
Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Southern University and A&M College, and Hargrove Engineers and Constructors, and the Romp Pew Agency, with additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.